What I have here is the new Kaoss Replay from Korg. It looks pretty fun at first glance, but I'm here to tell you I am sending this thing back to Korg. This is not going to be a comprehensive review, overview, feature, overlook, or whatever. This is just going to be me telling you why this thing doesn't click for me and why I think this is a big misstep by Korg. Now, full disclosure, Korg sent me this Kaoss Replay and we were actually going to do some sponsored content, a performance and tutorial, but as I do with all sponsored content, I try out the item first, and this thing, like I said, just did not click for me. So this video is not sponsored by Korg, but we do have a sponsor. We're sponsored by DistroKid today, which is the easiest way to get your music on Spotify, Apple Music, and all those cool places, and a lot of cool other artist promotional features, which I'll tell you about later. So if I'm saving you $999 in this video, perhaps think about using the DistroKid link. That'll save you 7% in the description. Okay, so briefly, what is this device? What is it designed for? What is Korg's vision? Korg's vision is this is a box that you would take to a gig, that you would load up your live tunes and you would do your performances on. It can do sampling, it can do resampling, it has a microphone input, and it has the classic Kaoss pad, but here it's in the form of a touch screen. You can scroll through different effects. You can make those effects have varying degrees of effect, like effects depth on the master. And it's essentially a bunch of Kaoss effects that you know and love if you love Kaoss pads, but in a box that can do sampling and that is more geared toward live performance. You can see they've even gone in a DJ direction with having group A and group B, essentially decks A and decks B, with faders for each of those decks. You might also say that this form factor looks really familiar. And I would have to agree. I do think, in my opinion, that these devices do look quite similar, and it's quite bold of Korg to go for this style form factor. Where these two devices diverge, both on price and on feature set, is probably my biggest pain point. Now, at first glance, again, big, beautiful color touch screen that you can scroll through, you can change different things, edit your samples, resampling, etc. I already talked about that. The intention here is that this is going to save you a lot of the menu diving and workflow quirks of something like a 404 or even an MPC. However, here's a first red flag. I just went into the pad edit, which gives us the ability to look at the waveform and do some editing. When I'm in this screen, I'm not actually able to do any performance at all. You can see that there's a little bit of slow loading there as I go from sample to sample. So this is not something that if you were doing a DJ style performance, you know, many DJs have software where you can see the waveform and you can set up different cue points, etc. You're not really able to do that on the fly. In fact, I need to get out of this mode to get back to performing. So big, beautiful screen that you will mostly be using as a big XY pad for the classic Kaoss pad effect, gestures, and styles. Now you might be saying, well, I guess that screen is probably very useful for when you're making your beats on this machine, when you're doing the sequencing, when you're actually like writing tunes. No. When I described Korg's vision for this unit, I talked about it as a performance tool, and it truly is that only. This is not a tool that you can put on your desk or take on the go and make beats from scratch on. You're not going to be producing songs on the Kaoss Replay. It is strictly a performance tool. You can do sampling and resampling, but you cannot sequence at all. Remember this when we talk about price later. No sequencer. I am constantly wondering if I'm missing something about this device. So if you're a performer and you're watching this video, please comment down below and tell me if I'm missing something and if you think the Kaoss Replay is an amazing thing for you. But I'm trying to imagine the use case. Okay, a DJ is going to use some traditional decks, more traditional DJ software even. A beat maker, a producer like that is going to use, if they're going to use a standalone device, they'll perform with something like a 404. Kaoss has beloved effects, of course, but the 404 has beloved performance effects too, and I can just load up all my tracks onto these individual pads and have the same style performance. Or I'm using my laptop and I'm using a collection of controllers, and then my laptop is also my production tool. I think they really don't want to associate this thing with the 404 and the MPC. One more red flag here. I'm going to unplug this from the USB-C power. Now this device has two USB ports, if you can believe that. It's got a USB-C port, and you're seeing this correctly, folks, a micro USB port. Here in the year 2023, this device not only requires you to plug in via USB-C for power, but it also requires for any type of data transfer or USB audio, MIDI, everything else, for you to use a micro USB cable. The type of USB cable that is most prone to failure, that is most poorly constructed, that basically no modern, after the year 2021 probably, audio device has used. And did you notice that when I unplugged the power cable, the device just powered off? That is because there's no battery and no ability to add batteries in this device. So I think if you're going to a gig, you're probably using wall power, but I do love being able to power my devices on a power brick. Let's give it a shot right here, right now. Moment of truth. This power brick does power like my iPad. It powers my 404 if I need it to. Let's turn the device on. Oh. Nothing, no power. Now maybe I got this wrong. Maybe I need to plug it into the micro USB, which who knows, it could already be broken. These things fail so fast. Oh, it plugs in upside down. That's great. All right, let's plug this into the power brick. Let's see. Power brick is on. No, because that port is not for power. No battery, can't power it in a mobile way. So it's using USB-C, which you think, oh, that's convenient because now I don't have to remember the specific power adapter. But at first glance here, and from the label and the warning on the package, it says use only this power adapter with this device. So the convenience of USB-C is immediately stripped away since I have to use the included power adapter, even though it's USB-C. Even if I plug this thing into my computer with a USB-C port, it doesn't power on. This is insane to me. So let me tell you about a couple comparisons that Korg otherwise probably doesn't want me to mention or wouldn't want me to mention. But first I want to tell you really quickly about something that made my latest album release the most successful album release ever, and you can sign up for it today. Our sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid has been my distributor since way before they sponsored the channel. The reason I signed up with DistroKid in the first place is because you pay one time per year and can upload as much music as you want to Spotify, Apple Music, TikTok, basically everywhere your music needs to be. I've stayed with DistroKid because beyond just being a convenient distributor, they've added a bunch of features that make my life easier as a musician releasing music. One of the features that any DistroKid artist can utilize is hyperfollow. This is really useful when you're trying to get people to either pre-save your song or just promote your song after it comes out. You essentially can build your own landing page and put all the pre-save links. You can even put your website link or a merch link on this page. You can collect emails from the pre-save, so you can have little contests. Like for instance, I held a contest for my ambient album release where people pre-saved and they could win a small crochet ghost. It ended up being my most pre-saved release out of any of my releases just by running that campaign, and I was able to collect those emails through DistroKid by using hyperfollow. And now that the album is out, I've got a dedicated page. If anybody asks me about my ambient album, I can send them this dedicated page. It'll bring them to the website landing page for this album. It'll bring them to the merch for this album, all the places they can listen and support the music. Right now you can get 7% off DistroKid by signing up using the link in the description. They've been a really amazing partner and have helped me make really amazing videos on this channel. So if you want to support them and support me as an artist, use that link in the description. I've had nothing but great experiences with DistroKid, and they have a lot more features beyond just the one that I talked about today. So do a little research, check it out, but use that link in the description. Thank you to DistroKid again for sponsoring this video. All right, let's get back to the Kaoss Replay. Okay, so I already brought this up earlier, but if you look at these two devices side by side, the Roland SB404 Mark II and the Korg Kaoss Replay, you're just going to see a striking similarity between the two right off the bat. And because of a bunch of things that I mentioned already, the Kaoss Replay is probably a bit less convenient than the 404. Now, I don't think the 404 is a perfect device. I think there's a lot of button combinations that you have to remember. Every time they release new firmware, you have to remember a different combination of buttons. There's quite a bit of menu diving to get to where you want to go. However, it's more complicated because it has more features. It has multiple ways of sequencing. It has features like skip back. This thing can be powered by the AA's inside, or it can be powered by a USB charger or power brick. Kaoss Replay was designed with DJs in mind. We've got Deck A and Deck B, but the 404 even has its own DJ mode where you can get a similar style setup. So what does this device have to offer over this one? Well, you might think, well, it has less features, so it must be more cost effective. It must be less expensive. No. And then we could start comparing this thing to MPCs, like the MPC-1, for instance, but I'm not even going to get into that today. Instead, I'm going to put Korg up against Korg. Let's take a look at this little guy right here, the mini Kaoss pad. I've had one of these for a long time. I like the concept of the Kaoss pad, an XY pad, really fun performance effects. It's a nice layer for performances. Even the predecessors, the bigger Kaoss pads that came out before the Kaoss Replays, I think those are really cool. They're interesting, they look different than any other device on the market. They also aren't $999. Even worse, some of the classic Kaoss pads are not even available retail. You have to buy them used now. You can find Korg KP3 Kaoss pads for under $300 used. You can also find Kaoss quad pads for $300 or less used. So my heart goes out to those Kaoss diehard fans who are waiting for a new Kaoss pad. The old Kaoss pads aren't even available, and instead of getting something in the $300 to $500 range, they're getting something only in the $999 range. And it would seem your only alternative is getting one of these minis, which again I like, but they're not a big flagship device. If you want the big flagship Kaoss pad because you love them, well, now your only option is this thing, and it's double the price of previous iterations. I don't think that's a great thing to do to your customer base. But if you're a Korg head out there, and if you love the Kaoss pads and you see this as the natural evolution, natural iteration, and this is the thing you've been waiting for, I'm all about being told that I am wrong in the comments down below. Please, I want to hear from you. I want to know that I'm crazy, that I'm wrong. I want to know that there's people out there that want this thing for $999. You could buy two SP404s Mark IIs for that price. Just saying. SP404 Mark II plus a Kaoss pad mini and use them together. This is all I'm saying. But I end you here today with what I think is probably the worst, most egregious part of this Korg Kaoss Replay. The demo song. The very first demo song that loads up on Bank A. The first song you'll hear when you boot up your Kaoss Replay. Did you hear the saxophone? Let me play it again for you. So folks, that's going to be it for now. If I saved you $999 today, please check out the link for DistroKid in the description. You can save 7% off, get your music everywhere, build a nice hyper follow page, promote your music, etc. I don't know. Let me know if I'm crazy about the Korg Kaoss Replay. I gotta put this thing back in the box and send it back now though. This has been TAETRO. Have a good one.